We certainly could use funding to provide the outreach necessary to create solutions. However, the real solution comes from true grassroots organization, which means no matter how much money you throw at the solution, we're not actually going to create a long-term solution and strategy without your participation. It takes your ability to circulate petitions and your signature to sign petitions for the ballot. Money does not solve the problems. Your actions solve the problems. You can learn from activismtruth.com. You can learn from myself, a veteran door-to-door fundraiser and professional petition circulator. I was one of the best fundraisers door-to-door when I worked in the door-to-door fundraising industry for lobbying campaigns. And I absolutely was one of the top signature collectors in the United States. And I have the ability to show you how you can play a role in the networking and organizing we need to have a true grassroots citizenry. We need a citizenry with a critical mass, the equivalent of about 1% of the voters, who will simply collect a few signatures in their spare time. And this will give us the ability to qualify initiatives, referendum, recalls, nominations, and even citizen grand juries for the ballot almost effortlessly. So join the promotion. So join the solution. Be a part of making history. Learn new skills that you can use to help people better understand how they can also play a role themselves. I will provide a systematic training program that will teach you what you need to know to organize and do the outreach, creating community around solutions. When we have long-term support for the solutions and the understanding of permanent ballot access, we can begin organizing people for that goal. When we achieve that goal, nothing can stop the people from creating true, everlasting change to stop all corruption in government. Here, since I'm here to talk about that, I have a site called activismtruth.com. It's created because I did 3 years of work with activism groups on environmental issues, actually, Clean Water Action, Clean Air Council, and we did door-to-door fundraising, and I was very good at that, and I trained people in door-to-door fundraising and organizing. And then I moved on and I got involved in ballot access campaigns, and I've worked in California, here in Arizona, Florida, Colorado, on ballot initiative campaigns. So the whole idea is that there's a lot of groups out there lobbying, where they're asking the politicians to please do this and please do that. But in cases where, like you have Monsanto, for example, paying off the politicians, if 80% of the politicians are in Monsanto's pocket, the chances of getting them to push legislation are nil. So the whole idea is let's find other ways to create real legislative change, because that is the real, only non-violent, civil way to handle problems facing society. So there's the court method, which is a snake of pits, a pit of snakes. It's a big problem. It's very costly. We are going to start looking into organizing the lawyers around the area, sheriffs and judges who would be on board moving forward in like a lawsuit against Evergreen, for example, to get disclosure on the chemical. That is one option. But the other option I feel is the ultimate contingency plan is to use the ballot initiative process. And it seems daunting, it seems like a very difficult task, but it's not when you really break it down. We have about 50 people in this room, and we need less than 500,000 signatures in the state to get it on the ballot. We need about 300,000. But that means, quite modestly, if each of us were to get just 10 people in the course of, let's say, a whole month, it took us 10 people, if we could get 10 people that could learn about the issues facing our environment with geoengineering and genetically engineered foods, for example, or any other issues that are very important to you, we can join groups that are organizing on those efforts and build a coalition. If each of us got 10 people in a month, they all then did the same thing, we're talking about escalating the amount of people to such a number that we could call up a few friends at that point and say, hey, look, we're going to have a big event in downtown Phoenix. It's going to be the convention center. We're bringing in sheriffs and judges and ex-military all over to talk about their experience with these government testings, for example. Scientists will be there, in huge community discussions. And we could have an event and a fundraiser and then fund either the direct the direct action in the courts or the direct action used in an initiative. The strength in numbers would be there. So primarily we need strength in numbers. We need people to learn methods to get the word out, how to talk to your neighbors about very difficult to deal with subjects, how to do it in a way that it doesn't scare them. And one of those keys, though, is to get people involved in immersion actions like this. We're here to immerse you into chemtrail knowledge. I mean, I just covered a few things. I told you about Brzezinski. He has this weird evil scientist kind of look on his face and plot about how it's easier to kill millions of people these days than to control millions of, quote, politically awakened masses. That's scary. Obama's other foreign policy advisor was a good friend of Mao. That's Henry Kissinger. He supported the genocide and all this stuff. This is real. And so it's important, though, that we can talk about these things and realize that, like the Label GMO Foods Group, they just want to have labeling to raise awareness about the issue. We're not going out there to say, hey, look, this is an evil plot by Monsanto to control the whole food supply and poison our food so that the pharmaceutical companies can get rich. I mean, that's one, you can take that approach, but it's not always effective. I don't know if, there's probably a lot of people that might be doubting some of the things you hear, but don't take my word for it. Do your own research and listen to some of these people. I mean, there's people that are in the military that are disclosing this, FBI agents, CIA agents that are out of it now, saying all this stuff that I was involved in was wrong, they're keeping this from me, I did my own investigation, they shut me up, they said not to speak, and those are the people that we need to be getting authority from in terms of being able to put pressure on the courts, or like I said, the legislature. It's kind of kicking a dead horse, or finally to engage the public in wanting to sign a ballot initiative petition which allows us to bypass the legislature, creating our own laws. And there's examples of 4 places: Suffolk County, New York, where I displayed that legislation, Maui, Mount Shasta in California, and those 3 locations, they have drafted initiatives for the citizens to approve on the ballot. And then there's also been legislation drafted by some outstanding members of Congress to tackle the issue. And if we can get the legislation drafted in Arizona, which we can very easily, just by pooling our resources to get a constitutional lawyer, we can start an official signature drive, at least to raise the efforts and for the awareness to get it to the 2014 ballot, but as backup to organize those people for real support for the 2016 ballot. And then every person that gets a ballot guide, even if they have no understanding of the issue, they can hear arguments for and against that are designed to convince moderates to look into the issue so that they can be either on board the subject and vote to say that yes, I want to know what's in my skies, or just to again let the government continue doing what it's doing without disclosure. I say it's a better option, just waiting.
Excellent. Yes, I had neglected to mention that I'm a lifelong environmental activist, and that Foster Gamble, who co-produced the film Thrive with his wife Kimberly Foster Gamble. Has everybody seen that film?
Yes.
That they're very dear friends, and that in 2013 we were just spending a few days at their house in Santa Cruz. This year, the Thrive movement is focusing its efforts on chemtrails. So they're doing a coordinated effort around the world. And if you're not part of Thrive yet, it's free of charge. You just go online, I believe it's thrive.com, thrivemovement.com. And they're looking for more people like Nico, like yourselves, to report what you've seen and to coordinate a grassroots initiative in your own area.